Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 5. My name is Bridget, Therese, your host of Empowering Women Through Fitness. And today I am actually not in my typical setting. I am in Wisconsin, so not my normal studio setting. But tonight I am super excited to be talking to Maliha Mian. She is actually a personal friend of mine, but she's an amazing attorney. She's a mom. She's a breast cancer survivor, and I'm so excited for her to share her story with you guys. So we're going to wait until she jumps on, and as soon as I see her, we will go ahead and add her in. But for those of you who are joining us now, please drop a comment on where you are watching from. I always love to see where my listeners or my viewers are watching from. It's fun. It makes me feel excited, and it also is encouraging to my guests. So as soon as I see her join, we will go ahead and add her. But thanks again, you guys, for watching. If you're watching on the replay, thanks for joining us. There she is. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Maliha. So we'll go ahead and get started. There she is. Welcome, Maliha. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing perfect. Yeah, once you kind of get on camera, you kind of got to recenter yourself because it squishes you into that small space. But thank you so much for taking time to come and join me tonight on Empowering Women Through Fitness. I'm so excited to see you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my honor. For those of you who don't have the privilege of knowing you yet, I wanted to ask you just a few icebreaker questions as everyone's joining in. Lots of people saying hello. Thank you guys for joining us. But our icebreaker questions, the first one I want to ask you is, where did you grow up?
Here, I'm a native Houstonian, so Houston, Texas, born and raised, and I'm very proud of that.
Awesome. That is
I love Houston.
And you live there now, so that's awesome. What are you grateful for today?
My life, my health, my children, my family, my friends, and knowing other inspirational women just like you, Bridget, and being able to have the ability to give back in many ways.
We're going to get into all of that in just a second. But if you could have lunch with anyone, who would it be and why?
Ooh, okay, J.K. Rowling, just because I love Harry Potter books, and I just really, you know, she had that amazing story where she was like down on her luck and thought she wasn't going to make it, and just wrote some story points on a napkin, and you just never know what will happen and how her life changed. So I think meeting people who have hope and courage to keep facing the next day when they are not sure what tomorrow might bring. I like talking to people like that, and she's one of my greatest. So.
That's awesome. What is one item you've crossed off your bucket list?
Traveling to Greece.
Yes.
I have a lot of items I've crossed out. My bucket list is very important. So
what is the next thing you want to cross off your list?
I want to go see penguins.
There you go. Awesome.
I really want to see penguins, so I want to make a trip down to like either South America or Antarctica. That's going to be a big one for me.
That will be a big one. That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to dive into your story, and I kind of want to take it back to that kind of prefaced, and I apologize if the connection gets a little bit crazy. Just keep talking because I think it'll continue to work. So I just got a little notification, but I want to take your story back to kind of the beginning. If you could kind of paint a picture of what your life was like before my description.
Okay. So
like you're married, you have kids.
Right. So I pretty much lived like that American dream, the cookie cutter lifestyle, good family growing up, quite conservative, reserved, went to school, got my education, got married, had my children, you know, made friends along the way. It was very cookie cutter, nothing extraordinary. As far as fitness is concerned, I was really healthy and at the best shape of my life in 2013 and 14. And then when I got diagnosed with cancer, things changed, and I, had to deal with a lot of health issues and fitness goals.
There's a couple things I want, and like this shows like mental fitness, emotional fitness, everything. So But you raise a good point, and there's two things I want to kind of cover, because we're pretty much the same age, and I was really surprised. You were the first person I met that was diagnosed with cancer, but you also said you felt like you lived a very healthy life. Things were healthy. So tell us a little bit about the story, if you will, of finding out, and walk us through that process, because you're probably just like, it's pain, it'll go away.
Right, right. So I had gotten divorced at the end of 2014, and I guess that was a very stressful situation. And so kind of stabilizing, being a single mom with two little girls, figuring out everything that, how my life just changed just in, like, I don't know, just so rapidly. That summer of 2015, I found like a little bump on my right breast, and I thought it was like a mosquito bite. Didn't think anything of it, didn't think too much, just noticed it. I used to be a runner. I used to run from my house all the way around. I mean, miles and miles. I loved running.
Yeah.
Ate healthy, and all of a sudden, I just couldn't run anymore. Hard time breathing. Felt really just odd in the month of July. It wasn't flu season. It was just very strange.
Right.
Well, I noticed that this bump started getting a little larger. Still didn't think too much of it. Mentioned it to some friends. They made sure to like bug me almost every day till I went to see my doctor. Talked to my doctor. She thought it was just a cyst and nothing more. Told me to come back in 30 days. Yeah. And if anyone knows me, I am not the type of person who will come back in 30 days to visit my doctor. It's just like I have too many things to do. It's really hard to pin me down. So I'm just like, I really asked her for some orders just in case. And so she and I are friends, and so she's like, yeah, okay, here you go. But she made sure to let me know that insurance would not cover it, right? Because I don't have a family history, meaning no immediate family member has that diagnosis.
And you were how old at this point?
Oh gosh, 2015, I was 34 years old.
Okay.
And
So
yeah, I was still young. And I did not have insurance because I had just gotten divorced, and I'm like, oh, I'm so young. I don't need health insurance. I'm fine. I'm fit. I'm a size 0 and I run and I eat healthy. I eat organic, So I did not think I needed health insurance, at least for the remainder of that year. Well, that all changed because on September 11th, 2015, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I broke down. I cried. I fell to pieces, and I just thought to myself, am I going to live? How am I going to manage this if I do live? I'm all by myself. What am I going to do? And so I went to I had gone to the ultrasound and mammogram appointment. I had known something was wrong, and then later, 2 weeks later, I got my diagnosis. And then it was just a total whirlwind, tornado, kind of like trying to figure out everything. What's the first step? Where do you go? And it was very scary, And so finally, I figured it out and decided along the way that when I was going through all this, I had the whole cancer treatment, from the double mastectomy to chemo, intense chemo, to radiation, to breast reconstruction, everything. And then now I'm in survivorship, thank God. But it's also, full of its own issues, like you end up dealing with PTSD, body image issues, just so many other things that come along the way, right?
Yeah.
Always a fear of recurrence, stuff like that. So I just wanted to make sure to put something together, and I love helping and giving back to people. So I love volunteering too, and I was like, how can I help more people than just one person at a time? And so I decided to do something about that. I created a company called Got Boobs. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more, but it's a social networking platform for all those impacted by breast cancer.
And as I said earlier, I have the advantage of knowing you personally. Although it's funny, we're so far apart today.
I know.
But I remember, visiting you, and it being very emotionally stressful for you, and very even traumatic. I remember you saying, and you have a lot of great friends. I will say that you have a lot of really cool people
Very
that
blessed.
Can you tell me if you can hear me now?
I
Am I
can hear
back?
you now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I caught it right away, so I stopped. I was saying you have a lot of amazing friends, and I was privileged to, and I actually felt very honored when you invited me to the party where you actually made the decision to cut your hair off before it fell out. And
Right.
it was really emotional for me, for one, because we're not far apart in age. We're very similar in age, um, but to see just a glimpse into the emotional journey that you were just starting out on. And as you mentioned your foundation, but the reason the foundation came is because you felt there were so many gaps along the way of your journey. You're divorced, you just got out of a bad relationship with your ex-husband who, you know, has his share of issues, and now you're trying to be a single mom. You're navigating all these new challenges. And did we mention that you're an attorney, so you have an office that you're running? So, you know, you have a lot going on, and now this is thrown in your face. And I remember the day we've met, and I'd met you a couple of times, actually, I should say that. And somehow I was like, my birthday or your birthday or somebody's birthday, and we were just, all of a sudden we just talked, and you just like, we just started talking, and you were like,
Right.
I, I'm diagnosed with cancer and I won't be able to come anymore. And I was just like, and we had such a soul connection, and I just think God brings people like that
Right.
in each other's lives. And I was able to be there along your journey and experience it. And it is not a pretty journey. It's not easy by any means. And to see you today is remarkable, and to see how strong you've become and the amazing work that you're doing. But
Oh,
let's,
thank you.
you're very welcome. Let's talk a little bit back though, like kind of take me and those watching through that journey, because there were so many missing gaps. There are so many things, and you can Google anything and find any answer you want. But
Right.
let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
So, okay. So, first of all, thank you so much too for being there for me during that time with the hair shaving little
Yeah.
get together. I needed family and friends. I'm so grateful that you were part of that. That meant so much to me. Um,
It's my
yeah.
honor.
So, the gaps. What I realized throughout my journey was I'm an attorney, right? So like I like to research, I like to know what I'm dealing with. Um, the information available for patients is very much understated. And if you're looking at a level for physicians, what a physician may understand, that's a completely different language, right? And so trying to find an equilibrium spot where information can be understood easier, could be found easier, that relates to a person's journey was very important to me. I wasted hours of my life researching things that were not even applicable to me. And that would frustrate me. You know, I'd go on countless forums trying to find out, you know, if someone had some sort of reaction to their chemo, or if chemo brain is common and does it go away, and like endless amount of issues and things that I had questions about. And finding the answers are very difficult. So I just kept thinking, like, why isn't there an easier way to get this knowledge, right? Another issue I felt was connecting to people who are similarly situated. Now,
Yeah.
I know there's support groups out there, and I know you have your family and friends, and that's wonderful. I could not have gotten to this point without family and friends. But where family and friends, they have not gone through this situation, so they could not relate 100%. They
Mm.
couldn't understand that there are days when, you know, I don't want to feel positive, and it's okay. I'm hurting and I need a rest, or maybe I need to be babied a little bit. That's okay. I'm going through a life-changing event, right? So, um, I think I think it was very important to find people who could relate. And support groups are wonderful. The only thing with support groups is that it's not very tailored to, uh, it's very open-ended. So it's like a lot of cancer survivors or a lot of cancer fighters or different stages of the same type, but each stage is very unique, right, in
Mm-hmm.
their experiences. And so I found that to be a little interesting. Like, why is there nothing that kind of narrows that gap and makes it more relatable to each
Yeah.
person? Um, I also found that, like, okay, I'm not the type who really likes to go to support groups when I have no hair and I'm completely bald, or no eyebrows and eyelashes. So I wanted to have access to a support group online, and I couldn't find one. And
Wow.
so, especially when I was going through some chemo treatments, towards the end of my chemo, they were compounding, so the pain was getting a lot more intense. There were nights when I couldn't sleep, and I was completely by myself. My children weren't with me; they were with their father because I didn't want them to see me go through all this. Um, so there were nights when like you just really want to connect with someone who can
Yeah.
understand you, and I couldn't find that. So that was quite difficult. I think not knowing the lingo, people wouldn't talk about it. I was one of the first few people who started sharing my story within my community. I'm Pakistani, so the Indo-Pak community, and it was something that South Asians just don't talk about their health, especially females. And it was interesting because I would post videos of my journey online, and women from all over started contacting me,
Mhm.
telling me that they were in a similar situation and how they were hurting or how they feel a certain way, and they just really want to talk. And so that's, these were some of the things, and I started feeling better. I started feeling like I had a purpose because
Wow.
I was connecting to other women who were going through something. And I'm sure they were feeling better that they were connecting to me
Yeah.
because of what they were going. It was a level of humanity that I had not seen in a long time in this world, and it really
Wow.
touched me, and I wanted to reproduce that, right? So with the Got Boobs platform, gotboobs.com, we have what we call connect, empower, and inspire, right? Connecting is where you can connect to someone just similar to you, going through the similar thing. Empower is our wellness library where you get customized, tailored information about your journey, unique to you. So you'll never have to see something that doesn't relate, right?
Right.
And then inspire is where we're fostering an environment of inspiration to recreate
Mhm.
that humanity, and so keep people engaged and feeling better throughout this hard time.
Wow. It's amazing to me that there's so many foundations out there, but yet there's such a gap in there missing. And maybe everything is more geared towards research or curing cancer and things like that. But what about the people that are actually going through it? And I remember you even saying for like family or friends, like some days I didn't know what to say to you, or, just like I felt guilty for having like my health and like my hair or things like that. And it was like I didn't know what else I could say or what else I could do other than just sit there and listen. But for even spouses or kids, even like what a big gap that is missing when it's such a vastly spread um, issue or disease or whatever. But so you're creating this community, and there you touched on quite a few different points. So you touched on how there's each stage is so different, and almost like a
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy or something like that, where it's like at each point you're experiencing something different. So with your foundation, that's kind of tailored towards each stage, towards each person. And is there a aspect for family and friends, or is it
Oh
more towards?
yeah. So we focus, okay, so the point of Got Boobs is to focus on that emotional roller coaster that accompanies anyone impacted by breast cancer. So when we say impacted by breast cancer, we're not saying you have to be a fighter, you don't have to be a survivor. You could be
Mhm.
someone who's just curious, someone who may have detected a lump, or you have questions.
Yeah.
You could be someone waiting on results, a time of high anxiety. And within
Yeah.
fighters, there's different stages from 0 to 4. Each is a sub community. We have a community for survivors, and we have a community for family member caregivers, because that's often a group of people that are neglected or neglecting their own feelings because they're caring about someone else, right? And it's when you see your loved one go through something like this, it's difficult, it's intense. Um, so we have a community for all those types of people that are impacted, and it's open to both women and men because there are several incidences and cases of male breast cancer as well.
Really.
Uh,
Well done.
yeah, yeah. Um, and so we have communities where they can then connect and be able to share their story.
Yeah. So, if there was a woman watching, whether live or on the replay, that has breast cancer, um, maybe they're in the very beginning stages of it. Maybe they just got diagnosed. What do you say to someone like that from your end, the survivor, somebody who's pulled through? What do you say to that person?
Couple of things. If To always maintain hope, right?
Hmm.
Hope is so important in this kind of journey. And then the second thing is it's usually a marathon, right? So don't think of it as an insurmountable mountain that you can't ever overcome. It's usually a marathon. And for those who may be impacted in a very terminal case, I would even say to them, you know, it's about how you live your journey. That's
Yeah.
very important, you know. So uh, I know it's not easy. I know I know people who've been diagnosed with very late stage breast cancer, and I know it's not easy, and there's a lot of anger. Um, and I am personally not probably the person who can relate to them because mine was a stage 2B. But getting them with other people who are at the same level, dealing with what they're dealing, and having that group of inspiration, that group of hope, or group of understanding, that empathy, that's so important. And then I would, to help them feel like that they can get through their journey to
Yeah.
whatever extent, right?
Yeah.
So it's a hope and keeping a good attitude
Hmm.
overall.
Do you remember when you were first diagnosed, kind of the emotions, like the roller coaster of emotions, like
Yeah,
shock or anger, or how did you get to a
yeah,
place where you just had to focus on hope?
yeah. So I was driving in my car when I got my diagnosis. My doctor called me and I picked up. So I pulled over and I was scared. It was fear that hits you first. You
Did
hear
you have
cancer
kind
and
of
you
a
think,
feeling? Did you kind of have a feeling that?
so when I went for my mammogram and ultrasound, I had never been to a mammogram before, so I had no idea what that was all about. It was kind of awkward. But the ultrasound, since I had children, I knew how ultrasounds work. And when I saw the radiologist come in, who I'd never met before, right? All of a sudden, a radiologist comes in. I knew there could have been something. I
Yeah.
had the biopsy within 2 hours of my ultrasound, which is also kind of unheard of. Um, but I had a feeling, but I was trying to be so optimistic. And I was like, no, the chances are so slim. And I'm so young and I have no family history and I don't meet any of these,
Yeah.
things that would make me a candidate for breast cancer, right? But that's the thing, right? So cancer does not discriminate. You just never know
Mhm.
what, why, or how, or when. It just happens. And so I broke down. I was scared. I was crying because I thought, oh my gosh, cancer means death. That's honestly what I thought. And then after I calmed down, I'm like, I'm the type of person, I have to have an action plan. I have to have some sort of
Yeah.
like control over my life. I cannot have just chance take it over. That's just my personality. So I'm just like, I am not going to be victim to this stupid disease.
Yeah.
And that's why I had that, hair shaving party at my house because it was important for me to have people around me to see that I'm going to need help. I am going to, need to be around people who can lift me up when I'm down. Um, and just to have that kind of like fun experience where it's like, okay, this is a bad thing. I have cancer. I have cancer and I have to deal with it. I'm not going to put my head and bury it in the ground like an ostrich or something. I have to deal with this, face on. And so let me figure out a way. Okay, if I shave my hair, at least it's shaved off before it completely falls off, right? And I had long, beautiful hair, and I miss my hair, but I shaved it, and it was interesting because that night I saw everyone crying, and then we started laughing, and we made it into something a little bit more fun. And I knew right then that I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna get through this. I just knew it. Like with love and support from family and community, I'm not alone. I'm gonna get through this. And as I went on, I just dedicated my life to figuring out how to ease this journey for others and that's how I got it. So that night was very inspirational for me.
Wow. It was kind of the kickoff to you feeling surrounded and having that community. And um, along with that being said, I'm sure there's some people that maybe don't have that community. So that's where it's amazing to have something like Boobs, where it's a community of other people that, like you said, online when you're sick or when you're down or when it's in the middle of the night and you just need somebody. I remember you telling me about those times where it was very
Yeah,
difficult and very emotional, very draining, and you didn't even feel good enough to go out and meet a friend for coffee. Or and there's many times
right.
I visited you just at your home, because that was all you could feel you were up to. So that community is probably where you got a lot of your hope, but you still had to maintain that and still had to fight literally every day for
Yeah.
survival. Yeah.
And
On
for
top of
me,
everything else.
sharing, huh?
On
Sorry.
top of everything else.
Yeah. For me, sharing my story was very helpful. That really allowed me, because I think by sharing my story, I was able to connect with others.
Mhm.
And that just helped me feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this whole cancer world, right? There are
Yeah.
others. And you look at each other and you just you just derive hope from each other. It's
Yeah.
really beneficial. A lot of people just don't like to share because they are very private. I think it's very therapeutic, and there's research that shows that it is. And so
Yeah.
um, I would encourage people to try to share, if not to the public as a whole, then at least in a narrow forum such as the gotboobs.com or whatever forum that they find comfortable. But it's good to share. It helps others who may be going through it and they're in secret and they don't know, and they
Yeah.
need that inspiration.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then sharing your story, for one, you'll understand that there's other people who have gone through it. You're most likely not the first person to have ever experienced the emotions or the pain or different things like that. So that's going to be one benefit. You'll find people that you can relate to it. And then you may help somebody else who, by sharing your story, that is going through some of the same things, but maybe was too scared to share. So I can see how
right.
there's a million benefits and really sharing your story. So I really admire you for that. And I want to say thank you again for taking time out of your super busy schedule. You're a hard one to
Oh.
pin down, like you said, but I really appreciate it. And I really admire all that you're doing, running a law
Thanks.
firm, running your foundation. If anybody wants more information on either of those, I have posted the links in the show notes above. But I wanted to say thank you. And before we go, I have one final question. What would you
Sure.
say to a woman who is watching this show that desires to feel more empowered?
Believe in yourself. Oh my gosh, 100%. Believe in yourself and praise yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. If you're expecting praise from anyone else, that's your biggest mistake,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like you have to be gentle to yourself, say kind things to yourself. I think that helps you with your emotional intelligence, with your mental stability and peace of mind. And when you have that kind of clarity in there, then I think you can go ahead and excel in whatever else you do.
That's perfect. Well, thank you again so much. And there's a little X if you tap your side of the screen where you can say
Okay.
peace out. So thank you for joining
Okay.
us, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. Appreciate it.
Thanks you guys for watching. If you watched on the replay, thanks for joining us. Wasn't that amazing? Her story is so powerful, and she's such an inspiration to me, and I know to so many others. If you are interested in her Got Boobs Foundation, you can go ahead and click the link on the show notes above and really learn more about her community and all the support that you can get if this is someone or if you're going through this personally, or you know someone else who may need that support group. Also her law firm in Houston. If you're in the area, you need an amazing person to help you out on those legal needs, I do suggest you talk to her. She's awesome. I want to say thank you to her, and thank you guys so much for watching, hanging in there with us. We will be back here next week, next Thursday at 7 p.m. And I'm going to talk to our next our next guest. Family just popped up on my phone. My next guest, which is Nina, and she's going to share her story about experiencing sexual abuse from a teacher throughout high school, and how she overcame that, her PTSD, and how she's navigated that, and now how she is helping others navigate that as well. So thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate it. From Wisconsin, I am going to peace out. I will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.